Namaskar. Today I, Shatarupa Mishra, Joint Director Publicity, Directorate of Public Relations, Publications and Publicity, CBDT New Delhi, welcome you to yet another episode in this special Samvaad series on the new Income Tax Bill 2025. Today we have with us Shri Vipul Agarwal Sir, IRS, presently posted as Commissioner Income Tax in Exemption Charge in Delhi. He is an officer of the Indian Revenue Service Income Tax of the 2005 batch, having experience of more than 19 years across many verticals. Sir has worked extensively in the Foreign Taxation and Tax Research Division and the Tax Policy and Legislation Division of CBDT and also the Directorate of Systems. Sir has represented CBDT in the FATF Mutual Evolution. Sir has worked extensively in exemptions charges and was part of the drafting committee of the Income Tax Bill 2025 with regard to the changes in the chapter on non-profit organizations amongst many others. Hence, today we are privileged to have him here with us today to explain to us about the significant changes to the chapter on the non-profit organizations. Namaskar, sir. Thank you for joining us today in this session on non-profit organizations in the special series of Samvaad in the changes related to the Income Tax Bill 2025. Sir, firstly, we would like to know that what is the meaning of the non-profit organizations? Has this word been used in the present act, sir?
Thank you, Shatrupa, for asking this question. Actually, non-profit organization हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही एक इम्पोर्टेंट सेक्टर है और बहुत सारे इसमें ट्रस्ट इंस्टीट्यूशंस आते हैं जैसे एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन, मंदिर, मस्जिद. सो इनके लिए हम लोगों का एक विचार था कि सिंपल हम लोग प्रोविजंस लेकर आएँ. So right now the present act does not use a single term for them. They use different terms like trust institution in section 1112 and in section 1023C different terms like educational institution, hospital, etc. have been used. So this bill proposes to use a single term registered non-profit organization for all these institutions.
Thank you, sir. Sir, where are the provisions related to these non-profit organizations contained in the present Income Tax Act?
Yeah, so there has been a lot of confusion over this. In fact, these provisions are scattered across 5 different chapters. So to start with, the first chapter is the chapter related to definitions. There is a definition of charitable activities in section 215 of that chapter. Then we have substantive provisions scattered across chapter 3, wherein there is section 1023C, then 11, 12, 12A, 12AA, 12AB. So there are so many provisions. There is section 13 also providing that certain incomes are not eligible for exemption. And then we have certain provisions contained in chapter 6A, wherein section 80G and approval for that purpose is contained. Then we have like certain provisions 115 BBI and BBC, which contain provisions related to specified income, anonymous donation, and also exit tax. So presently all these provisions are scattered across. That is why taxpayers sometimes find it difficult to comprehend and correlate all these provisions.
Because you were also a part of the drafting committee that redrafted this particular chapter in the new bill, sir. Sir, our viewers would like to know that what were the problems that were associated with these provisions in the present act, sir.
We as a department have been regularly interacting with the taxpayers, especially in case of non-profit organizations. We have been carrying out a lot of outreach programs. And during outreach programs, we came to know that sometimes taxpayers are finding it difficult, especially NPOs, because many of NPOs, like you can understand, small temples, small schools which are running on a very low capacity, low finances,
Absolutely,
they are not having proper consultants to guide them. So, meaning present provisions of the Income Tax Act have evolved over a period of time, and which has resulted in insertion of a lot of like provisos and explanations and cross-referencing. So it was becoming very difficult for them to understand these provisions. So that is why that was the reason. In fact, if you see, like for example, section 11, if you see present section 11, there are 13 explanations and 16 provisos within one single section. So you can understand how difficult it would be to comprehend these provisions.
Sir, like you told, I'm sure it will benefit these smaller non-profit organizations, the larger non-profit organizations who get confused due to the earlier provisions. Sir, now my next question in this regard would be that what was the approach that was followed by the drafting committee while redrafting these particular provisions, sir?
So that's a very interesting question, and that takes me back to this entire exercise, the day one of this entire exercise. So when we started drafting these provisions, the first thought which came to our mind, why to have these provisions scattered across so many chapters? Why not to bring all the provisions at one single place? And that was the thought with which this entire process started. So this all the provisions have now been brought to one single chapter, 17B, and there like this chapter is also structured. It is divided into 7 different subparts. So first part is related to registration, wherein all the provisions relating to registration are contained, like when application is to be filed in different scenarios, when registration is to be granted, for what period registration is to be granted. Then there are also provisions relating to switching over of regime, like if some taxpayer wants to switch over from non-profit organization regime to say present section 10 regime, or vice versa. Those provisions are also contained in that particular subpart. Then we have provisions relating to income of registered NPO. Generally, income of registered NPO is not chargeable to tax, but there are certain situations in which in case of certain violations, income would be chargeable to tax. So all those provisions are contained in that part, including the provisions relating to accumulation of income and like investment of that income. Then we have the next part, wherein we have provisions relating to commercial activities. Then we have another part relating to all the compliances to be made by registered NPOs, say for example filing of return of income, getting audit done, and all those things. Then we have a particular part dedicated to violations. In case of violation, what are different violations which may be committed by NPOs, and in case of violation, what are the consequences? Those are contained in that particular part. Then we have two very small parts, one relating to 80G, present 80G corresponding approval, which also has been taken to NPO chapter, and we have one small part relating to interpretations of different terms used in this part.
Thank you, sir, for that detailed explanation. Sir, could you throw light on how many words have actually been reduced as a part of this simplification exercise when it comes to this chapter on non-profit organizations?
So our primary purpose was to give clarity, bring clarity, and make the provisions more structured. Nevertheless, this was also in our mind that number of words should be reduced, because more words and more confusion is there. So as a result of this exercise, around 12,800 words have been
Oh, wow,
reduced to
sir.
7,600 words.
Thank you, sir. Sir, a question that is going on in the minds of our viewers is that will the already registered non-profit organizations be again required to get registered under the provisions of the new bill, sir?
Yeah, thank you Shatrupa. It's a very very relevant question. एंड इनफैक्ट ये बहुत सारे ट्रस्ट के माइंड में आना ये प्रश्न बहुत स्वाभाविक है कि अभी तो हमने रजिस्ट्रेशन कराया था, अब फिर से क्या हमें इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट के चक्कर काटने होंगे रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए? ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। जो भी ट्रस्ट और इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर्ड हैं, चाहे वो 12AB में रजिस्टर्ड हो या 1023C में रजिस्टर्ड हो, उनका रजिस्ट्रेशन नए बिल में प्रोटेक्ट किया गया है। So the term registered NPO has been defined to include all those trust institutions which are registered in section 12A, 12AA, 12AB, 1023C of the Act, if they have a valid registration and that registration has not been cancelled. So for the time they have a valid registration, they need not apply. Once their registration is about to expire, as per the provisions of the Act or the bill, they will need to apply again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That clears a lot of doubts in the minds of our viewers, sir. Sir, एक जो section 332 of the proposed act है, जो कि conditions of eligibility provide करता है, sir, will it affect or impact the certain trusts adversely, sir?
Yeah, thank you Shatrupa. Again a very very relevant question. So ये चीज़ भी लोगों के कुछ ट्रस्ट के माइंड में स्वाभाविक है, आ सकती है कि पहले तो ऐसा कुछ प्रोवाइडेड नहीं था कि कौन लोग एलिजिबल हैं रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए, और अब ये बिल में कुछ ऐसी कैटेगरीज ऑफ पर्सन्स दिए गए हैं कि ये लोग एलिजिबल हैं। सो कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि हम लोग इनएलिजिबल हो जाएंगे या कुछ लोग इनएलिजिबल हो जाएंगे, ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। इनफैक्ट ये जो एलिजिबिलिटी बिल में दी गई है, इसका एक बहुत स्पेसिफिक रीज़न है। एक सेक्शन 11(7) है इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में, प्रेजेंट इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में, जिसके कोरस्पॉन्डिंग हमारा क्लॉज 333 है इन दिस बिल। तो उस क्लॉज में वो क्लॉज प्रोवाइड करती है कि जो ट्रस्ट और इंस्टीट्यूशन अभी प्रेजेंट 11 एंड 12 में रजिस्टर्ड हैं, वो सेक्शन 10 की डिफरेंट क्लॉजेज, जैसे सेक्शन 10 46 उसमें स्विच ओवर कर सकते हैं और वापस इधर आ सकते हैं इस रिजीम में। सो अभी जो प्रेजेंट एक्ट के प्रोविज़न है उसमें ये बहुत क्लियरली प्रोवाइडेड नहीं था कि ये लोग जब वापस आएंगे तो क्या वो एलिजिबल हैं कि नहीं। सो इस कन्फ्यूज़न को हटाने के लिए, उसको दूर करने के लिए, वी हैव स्पेसिफिकली प्रोवाइडेड that all these category of persons are eligible for registration, and we have also added a new category, that any other person which may be notified by board. So if any if any person is left from these categories and board considers that that need to be included, then board will have a right to notify such category of persons also.
Thank you, sir, for that clear answer, sir. Sir, can you provide an example as to how the provisions in the new bill will help improve the readability of this particular chapter, sir?
Yes, Shatrupa. So basically, if you see the entire scheme of the new provisions, it is based on tables and also doing away with the explanations and provisos.
Ji, sir.
So if you look at the first section itself, section 332 of the proposed act, it contains provisions relating to registration. So the table contains like when a person needs to apply, what is the time limit for filing an application, and then what is the time limit for the Commissioner of Income Tax to decide on that application, and also the period for which registration is to be granted. So there are 7 different scenarios in which all these 3 time limits operate. So now if any trust or institution looks at that particular table, it can immediately get to know as to when I need to apply, within what time I will get the registration, and for what period I will get the registration. Presently, these provisions were scattered across sections, like say for example 12A1 AC, that provided the time limits for filing the application. Then section 12AB contained the time limit for CIT to decide, and then 12A subsection 2 that contained the period for which the registration will be valid. So now if you see all these provisions have now been contained in a single table. So if for example I am a registered non-profit organization and I need to apply say after 5 years or 10 years of my validity of registration, and I look at the table and I get to know within what period I need to apply and when will I get the valid registration, and for what period it will be valid. So this is how the bill intends to simplify.
Thank you, sir, for explaining that so beautifully, sir. Sir, there is a dedicated section in the new bill that is talking about taxability of income from the registered non-profit organization. Sir, is there any additional tax that is proposed to be levied on the income of these registered non-profit organizations?
Yeah, that's again a very valid question. So we need to understand the structure of this particular part relating to registered non-profit organizations. So what we have basically done right now, the provisions relating to taxability of their income, NPOs income, were scattered across different provisions. Say for example, present section 1310 provided taxability of their income in some particular scenarios, like suppose there is a delay in filing return of income, then section 1310 provided that their net income will be taxable. Similarly, 115 BBC provided that anonymous donations received by certain say charitable organizations will be chargeable to tax at the rate of 30%. Similarly, 115 BBI provided that their specified income will be taxable at the rate of 30%. So now what this provision relating to taxability of registered NPO seeks to do, it seeks to bring all these taxability together in a single provision. Generally, if a registered NPO applies 85% of its income for charitable or religious purpose, for whatever purpose it has been created, then nothing is taxable. And if there is no violation, nothing is taxable. Similarly, now the bill provides two concepts. One is regular income, other is taxable regular income. So regular income is broadly the receipt of registered NPO, and taxable regular income is nil if 85% of that regular income is either applied or accumulated. So it is corresponding to section 11(1)(a) and 11(1)(b) of the present act. So if a registered NPO applies 85% of its income, and if it is not able to apply, if it accumulates as per the provisions of the act, then nothing is taxable. So only income which is a result of violation would be taxable as per the provisions of the bill. There is no change at all with the present provisions of the act.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, what is the concept of specified income, and does it propose to tax any new income of the registered NPOs, sir?
The underlying philosophy of this entire exercise was to bring the similar things together. So that is what this concept of specified income also tries to do. Right now, the provisions relating to taxability of, say, anonymous donations were contained in 115 BBC. Provisions relating to like taxability of specified income were contained in 115 BBI. And there were also some other provisions relating to taxability of NPOs at different places, lying at different places. So now this concept section pertaining to specified income brings all them together and provides taxability of that income. And Shatrupa,
Yes,
one more
sir.
thing, it also provides the tax year in which that income will be taxable. Because right now, the way it was written, sometimes NPOs were understanding that yes, this income will be taxable, but sometimes they were confused as to the tax year in which this income will be taxable. So now this provision specifically provides the year also, tax year also, in which it will be taxable.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think that will go a long way in helping the टैक्स पेइंग एनपीओ सर। सर ये सिंप्लीफिकेशन का कोई और एग्जाम्पल सर आप हमारे दर्शकों को बता सकते हैं?
एक जैसे इसमें बहुत सिंपल सा एग्जांपल है, जब हम बात करते हैं, मतलब से आप किसी भी एनपीओ से बात करेंगे
जी सर।
सो पहला प्रश्न उसके माइंड में आता है कि 85% तो अप्लाई करना है, बट ये एप्लीकेशन है क्या, है ना। तो वो सब लोगों को कन्फ्यूजन होता है। इनफैक्ट आप अगर हमारे देखेंगे फील्ड में भी बहुत सारे ऑफिसर्स हैं, कई बार उनका भी ये प्रश्न आता रहता है कि भाई हाँ एप्लीकेशन क्या है, क्योंकि एप्लीकेशन अगर आप देखें ट्रस्ट के केस में ये हमारा जो नॉर्मल एक्सपेंडिचर होता है बिजनेस में उससे काफ़ी डिफरेंट है ये कॉन्सेप्ट।
हाँ।
सो जैसे इसमें एक बहुत की डिफरेंस है कि यहाँ पर कैपिटल और रेवेन्यू का डिफरेंस नहीं है, एप्लीकेशन में भी कैपिटल एज वेल एज रेवेन्यू। सो जो एप्लीकेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट इवोल्व हुआ, से सेक्शन 11 प्राइम ऑफ एसआई ये सारे इस प्रोविजंस को कंटेन करता है। तो सेक्शन 11 में ये सारे प्रोविजंस डिफरेंट एक्सप्लेनेशन, प्रोवाइजो, इन सब फॉर्म्स में पड़े हुए थे। सो अलग अलग जैसे समय के साथ लॉ इवोल्व हुआ तो एक एक्सप्लेनेशन ऐड हो गई, फिर एक्सप्लेनेशन में प्रोवाइजोज ऐड हो गए, फिर प्रोवाइजोज में एक्सप्लेनेशन ऐड हो गई। सो इट वाज बिकमिंग ए बिट कॉम्प्लेक्स। So what this new bill tries, it proposes to assimilate all the provisions relating to application of income together at one place. Right. So now, like if you just read at one particular clause of the bill, which contains this application provisions. So it says, it tells about the eligibility of application, what are the conditions required to be satisfied. It also contains provisions like suppose some trust applies out of corpus and then replenishes, then in which year that replenishment will be allowed as application. So all the provisions relating to applications are now provided at one place. So any small NPO can now go through the provisions and understand what will qualify as application and what will not qualify as application.
Sir, also the provisions related to the deemed application have been done away with in the new bill, sir. Yes. Sir, what was the rationale behind that, sir?
As we discussed that अगर कोई ट्रस्ट मीनिंग रजिस्टर्ड एनपीओ अगर 85% ऑफ अपनी ड्यूरिंग द ईयर जो इनकम है उसको अप्लाई कर देता है तो उस पर टैक्सेबिलिटी नहीं आती है, सब्जेक्ट टू अगर कोई वायलेशन नहीं है। अगर कोई ट्रस्ट 85% अपनी इनकम को अप्लाई नहीं कर पाता है तो उसके पास प्रेजेंट एक्ट में दो पॉसिबिलिटीज़ थी, या तो वो अपनी इनकम को एक्यूमुलेट कर सकता है 11(2) के हिसाब से 5 साल के लिए, या एक हमारा इसमें एक्सप्लेनेशन 1(2)(11)(1) में था जो कहता है कि आप 1 साल के लिए, जनरली 1 साल के लिए अपनी इनकम को एक्यूमुलेट कर सकते हैं, जिसको उसने डीम्ड एप्लीकेशन वर्ड यूज़ किया था जिसके लिए। अब बहुत सारे ट्रस्ट इसमें कंफ्यूज हो जाते थे क्योंकि डीम्ड एप्लीकेशन के लिए फॉर्म 9A है, एक्यूमुलेशन के लिए फॉर्म 10 है। अब जब आप 5 साल के लिए एक्यूमुलेशन अपना किसी भी अपने ऑब्जेक्ट के लिए 5 साल के लिए एक्यूमुलेशन कर सकते हैं, सो डीम्ड एप्लीकेशन पर से जो प्रोविजन था इट वाज रिडंडेंट। एंड अगर आप इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न को भी देखें, सो देवर 2 सेपरेट शेड्यूल्स for these two accumulation and deemed application. Sometimes taxpayers and small NPOs who are not having that expert advice used to accumulate, say, as per the provisions of meaning section 11.1 explanation 1.2, and used to file that particular in a different schedule for 11.2. So their claim used to get rejected in CPC. So, meaning it was seen that this duplicacy was creating a lot of conflict and confusion and resulting in difficulties to the taxpayers.
Right, sir.
So, this 5-year accumulation provision has been incorporated in the new bill, and it provides that there is no restriction on the purpose for which you can accumulate. The trust can accumulate for any of its objects. So, that is why this is to ease the compliance and help the taxpayers.
Thank you so much, sir. That was my last question, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us in this episode on the registered non-profit organizations and its provisions in the new bill, sir. Thank you so much once
Thank you,
again,
Shri
sir.
Vipul.
Namaskar.